Hey, how's it going? Happy Wednesday, happy day 3 of Dreamforce. How's everybody feeling? Yeah, okay, cool. So today is an interactive session. I want to get everybody comfortable with that. So just keep that in mind as we start going, that you are going to talk to each other. So maybe think about that for a minute, take a second to internalize that. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun. Today we're going to talk about thinking compositionally and why Salesforce developers grok it. My name's Heather Dykstra. I'm a developer evangelist here at Salesforce, and I'm super stoked to be talking to all of you today. So as with all Salesforce presentations, please make sure that you make any purchasing decisions based on what's currently available in the product and not any forward-looking statements that I may make. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I said this was going to be interactive, so let's go ahead and let's give that a start. Anyone that's willing or able, go ahead and join me in the Codey Stretch. Kind of get familiar with moving around, because we are going to talk. All right, awesome. Thank you guys so much. You guys look great. So today we're going to talk about 3 main things. We're going to talk about traits, habits, and skills that make you super awesome at developing. Now, you may have seen this session in the agenda builder and thought, grok it. Grok, what does that word mean? Well, grok is to understand something empathetically and automatically. So we're going to kind of take that approach to being an awesome developer. So let's dive right into traits. When you think of traits, you might think traits, habits, they sound similar, but I have a specific definition for trait that I like. It's an attitude that sets you up for success on the platform. So as developers, how many of you are developers? A couple. How about admins? And my business users or other people that I didn't mention? Woo! Awesome. Well, thank you guys all for joining. When you think of a developer, you might think automatically of a trait like someone who strives for growth, or maybe they're an awesome problem solver, or perhaps they're super innovative and they always want to take on that next challenge. But what you might not think of, and what skills you probably already all have, are things like being collaborative, communicative, and being empathetic. Now, these 3 skills are super important, these traits, to being able to be an awesome Salesforce developer. When I first started developing on the Salesforce platform, the most important thing in my day was my collaboration with my team. And in order to be able to be that collaborative, I had to be a problem solver and an innovator, but I also really needed to be able to communicate with my team and with anyone above me. And that also took empathy. I had to understand where they were coming from. So, as part of that, to give you all a little bit of practice on that communication and being empathetic, I'd like you all to turn. We're going to talk with each other for like 10 to 20 seconds. And you're going to talk about a trait that you maybe admire in somebody else or in yourself, and why you think that makes them awesome. So go ahead and take 20 seconds. I've got a clock up here, so I'm watching. Turn and chat with your neighbor. I see some really awesome discussions happening, and I hate to interrupt, but we are at 20 seconds. So we're going to bring it back. You are going to get to talk to each other again in just a minute, so you'll be able to finish that conversation. So let's transition now. We've talked about our habits. You're even still talking with each other, and I see that, and that's amazing. Sorry, we talked about our skills. But let's now talk about habits that we can get into as developers that make us awesome. So the first one that I think of, just like when we think of traits, I have 3 that are specific and 3 that are different. So the first one that's specific is release notes. Reading those release notes and being really comfortable in them and knowing what's coming out in each of our 3 releases every year. The second thing that you think about traditionally, developers, is they're going to go to Trailhead. They're going to be constantly learning new skills and earning those credentials to prove that they know what they're doing and also just to enhance their education. And then they're probably, if they're really awesome Salesforce developers, they're diversifying their projects. They're not just working on those visual force pages from yesterday. They're also looking at the new Lightning experience and trying out Lightning components. Or maybe they're looking at Visual Flow or Process Builder to solve that problem that they had. So those are traditional traits and habits. But what are some non-traditional habits? Well, I've got 3 here. The first one is exercise. I was recently listening to a talk by Tim Minchin. He was speaking at his graduation, at a graduation ceremony for his alma mater. And he had a lot of really great points. But I believe it was his 3rd point that was about exercise. We're currently living in an age where we as a whole are more wealthy than any other human being before us. And in addition to that wealth, we're likely to live 10 to 20 years longer than even someone born 100 years ago. That's insane. And what that really means is that we need to pay attention to our bodies. We need to exercise. So I really like that point from Tim. It's something that I really wanted to emphasize today. And along with that exercise and taking care of your body, you also need to take care of your mind. Because it's not just about learning, it's about meditating and being able to be in yourself and be centered. So those are really important. The third one that I find amazingly important and super undervalued in almost every community is reading. I look up to Bill Gates and was recently reading an interview with him, and he said that he reads nightly. But in addition to just reading nightly, he also spends some time in his week reading the entire cover-to-cover weekly newsletter. And he does this because he says that if he only read the parts that were interesting, the business and the science, that he would leave that reading the same person that he was yesterday. But instead, he reads the entire thing and comes out of it a little bit more enlightened with a broader mind and better understands a little bit more about this massive world that we're living in. So, reading, a super undervalued habit. So we've talked about habits, and I promised you'd get to talk to each other again, because I know I've started to see some friendships already being made. So go ahead and turn to talk with your neighbor about a new habit that maybe you started earlier this year, or something that you saw on this slide that you really would like to start doing yourself. So go ahead and do that now. So I'm seeing some really awesome conversations happening, and you should all swap business cards and get to know each other a little bit better. Because one of the most important things about being here at Dreamforce is meeting each other and networking. So thank you guys so much for sharing. For the rest of today, I promise you don't have to talk anymore, because now we're going to dive right into skills, or what I like to call solutions with flair. And we're going to talk about this really controversial topic in the developer community, which is to click or to code. And I like both. So we're actually going to show you a demo where clicks and code work together to make an even better solution for our end user. So we're going to use that communication skill, that empathy skill, and we're going to use the habits of being up to date on our release notes to make the perfect solution for our user. So let's go ahead and let me escape out and dive right in. Okay. I'm on the wrong screen over here. I'm so sorry, guys. Maybe. Well, you can see it, so we'll be good. All right, so right now we are here in our craft show app. So I'm working with my mother. She does a lot of craft fairs. And right now she keeps track of everything in an Excel spreadsheet. What she's made, how much they cost, and if she sells it or not. And one of her biggest complaints is she can't keep track of her pictures of what she's sold and what she still has. So when someone asks her, "Hey Patricia, do you have anything cool to sell?" she never knows. So I decided to start messing around with a basic app to see if I could make that problem go away for her. So what I've done is I've built a pretty basic object here called show. It's got a title. This is for the 2017 Fall Fair. And it's got this date of show, which happens to be today. And so we've also got this path, and you can see we're already in the show status on the path. So today is the day of the show. But if we go ahead and we display our guidance for success, it's pretty boring. There's no key fields here. And so it's not very helpful to my mom. And if we look at the pre-show, the only key field here is date of show. So this solution totally works. There's a couple other things I want to point out. Over here on the right-hand side, we also have our activity timeline. So we can see that she needs to sell all of her products today. That's her goal. But yesterday, she also added all of the new items she needed to her objects. So you can see down here, we've got our item object. It's a related list. And it's got the name, a section for picture, but it's not showing up, so that's not great. A cost, and whether or not she sold it. So Mom likes this solution, but she came up to me this morning and she's like, Heather, this is just not gonna pull it off for today. Can you fix it? So I was like, well, let's try. So what I've done is the first complaint, the biggest one, is this guidance for success in key fields. It's not useful. She doesn't like it. So let's get rid of it. Let's go ahead and use this brand new thing called Lightning Picklist Path and create a simple, perfect Lightning component for this solution. It's very, very, very easy. We've only got a couple lines here that are actually important. We're selecting the pick list, and we're saying, hey, we want to do this off of the status field. All right, so this looks like pretty basic. Let's go ahead and let's drag and drop it onto this page right here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit Edit Page and be right into the Lightning App Builder. So we're doing some clicks, but we also wrote some code. And we're gonna go ahead and scroll down, and you can see I've got this custom component called Show Path. We're gonna drag it right here, get rid of that old one, and we'll hit Save, and go ahead and go back. And now, that duplicated information isn't there anymore. Mom loves this. It's very simple, she knows exactly where she's at, and we were able to make that a little bit better. But there's still one more problem. We can't see our photos. So let's think about how to do that. Well, I've been reading the release notes, and I recently discovered that there's this thing called Related List Single, where I don't have to show notes and attachments and contacts. And it also mentions something about being able to display it in a tile view. Now, I'm not sure what that means, so I'm gonna dive right into the app builder one more time, and we're gonna try this out. So we'll get rid of this related list component because it's got all of them, and that's not very great. And then we're gonna go over here, and it's gonna say related list single. So we're gonna drag and drop that right into the interface. Now, it's not displaying anything right now. That's not cool. So let's go over here, and let's not do activity history, but we'll do our custom object items. We're selecting that object, and again, it's just displaying this. So, oh look, there's this thing, change related list display. Let's change that to a tile. Whoa, there are photos now. That's cool. So I didn't have to write any custom code to make that photo component compare. Wow, that's amazing. Let's hit save. Let's go on and go back. And now, as we scroll down, cool, now I can see my mom's art. That's awesome. Now she can quickly show all of her customers what she needs. She's not bombarded by information that's duplicated, and now she's got her show done and she's sold all of her products so she can mark her task as complete. That's amazing and super simple. We used admin stuff, we used developer stuff, and we made a solution that worked for her. So thank you guys for joining me so far. I've got just 2 more slides for you. I want to conclude by telling you about 3 trails that kind of talk about the different things that we've already discussed today: traits, habits, and skills. And if you check out this bit.ly link, you'll go right to my trail mix, and they'll all be right there for you, all perfect and bundled together. So the traits one is about the business value of equality, which goes right along with being empathetic. Habits is all about preparing for Salesforce releases. Every time we release an innovative release each year, we also release a trail that walks you through it along with our release notes. And this walks you through how to leverage that to your best ability. And then finally, for skills, we didn't talk about it too much today, but innovation is an awesome skill to have. So check out that Innovation Basics chapter. So I've got 4 minutes left if anyone has any questions. But thank you guys so much for joining and also for talking to each other today.